All right, good evening, everyone. This is the Ayer Conservation Commission meeting. It is Thursday, October 27th, 2022. Commissioners in attendance this evening are Ms. Jenna Maya, Mr. George Bacon, Mr. Mark Phillips as chair, myself, John Schmellenberger. I'm sorry, as vice chair.
Vice chair.
I'm kind of...
You just kind of send it my way?
That's right.
Seeking notices.
Sorry about that. And myself, John Schmellenberger.
Actually, it doesn't get recorded in the minutes.
It's getting written down.
It's official.
And Ms. Gugino is not here this evening. Confirmation of agenda. Any changes?
No changes.
No changes, okay. Motion to approve the agenda as written.
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. The next item this evening is the approval of the meeting minutes for October 13th, 2022. Any changes?
I didn't see any this time.
Seems okay to me. All right, motion to approve the meeting minutes for October 13th, 2022 as written.
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. Public input. There's no one here, so we're going to say there is no public input this evening.
Right, moving on.
Moving right along, our first item this evening is a request for certificate of compliance. DEP file number 100-0387 Willow Road Development. It is a certificate of compliance for something that was never...
Yeah, the work was
Yes.
never completed on that project. So it was applied for, order condition was issued, but the work on that project was never done. It was done under a different order that was previously issued for that same address.
So do we have to make a motion to...
Yeah, we just sign, same things we do for any normal certificate of completion. It just gets it off of the, makes it closed. And then if you read them carefully, there's different check boxes that you do for
Yep.
order conditions. So it goes under it's invalid because it says that it's been, it's no longer valid because the work was never done.
Okay.
Did you find this, or did they come in and let you know?
They came in and let me know.
Oh, okay. I was wondering,
One of the,
how did you know?
the president, I believe, of the condo association, Duncan Brown, is the one that was bringing these to the attention of the office.
Okay. Any discussion?
Nope.
Motion to issue the certificate of compliance. DEP file number 100-0387.
Is it, and you said issued the order of compliance, I guess, is it really issuing, or is it basically, is it canceling the order of
Well,
the?
you're issuing an order. You're issuing a certificate of completion, which closes out the order of conditions.
Okay, I just want to make sure it gets recorded,
And
the right words.
actually, when I was trying to search this, I don't think that order was ever actually recorded either. So more or less just closes it in on our end.
Okay.
The request
So,
is
is that
for
okay
this
the way I said it?
certification that
Okay.
the above referenced order of conditions has lapsed and therefore no longer valid, and the work regulated by it was never started.
Yep.
So it's a motion to, again, I guess I just don't know the term. Is it cancel it? Is it close it? Like, what is the term?
So when you issue a certificate of completion, it basically closes out the order of conditions. So that's why the certificate of completion compliance form has different orders. So it's either I can't remember all of them. Partial, invalid, ongoing. So it has to be. I don't know why they have ongoing. Probably because if it has growing seasons, and then and the partials, and then complete. Where this one isn't complete, it was just invalid because it essentially has lapsed too. It's 8 years old, 6 years old, 6 years old.
Okay.
So, motion to issue a certificate of compliance, DEP file number 100-0387.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Huh. Get to sign something.
Maybe so they bring another
Thank
one.
you for bringing extra.
I always do because I'm afraid one's gonna die on me while I'm here. Happened to me Tuesday and I didn't have another pen.
This is part of it too. Is this part of it?
Thanks, George.
Thank you.
All right, then our next item this evening, request for certificate of compliance, DEP file number 100-0288, Willow Road Development.
Yes, so this is the order that the work was actually completed under for the Willows up off of Willow Road of the Long View Circle and that development. Duchesne Wangs did all the monitoring reports up there. He's the one that submitted the request certificate compliance. I thought he was going to be here this evening in case you guys had any questions. I do have the as-built plans in the office. I'm sorry, I didn't bring them. I just realized I forgot. I went out to the site too today and drove through. Everything's there. Everything's built. Everything's stable. The only comment that Duchesne mentioned to me today when he called, what that I may have commented in his letter, that there's one manhole they couldn't locate. It's actually covered under some asphalt. So I asked the question if it's going to go to, is it going to stay a private road, if it's going to go to a town road, because if the town is accepted, then that's when they'll ask for that to get changed. So it wouldn't fall anything under here. If it is something that the town takes, the DPW most likely will have them correct that.
Yep.
So it shouldn't be an issue on this end as far as closing out the order of conditions and issuing the certificate of compliance.
Okay, all right, so you're happy?
Yeah, I'm happy. So I drove through there. I only been out there once when I first started in town, so I drove around.
Yeah.
It's such a nice little neighborhood. I mean, everything's pretty close packed. But again, if you had really young kids or you're
Sure.
older, it's nice because the houses look so nice and the neighborhood's nice and yeah, everything's grown in and stable and everything's growing and fenced off like it's supposed to and so.
Good. Any discussion?
I guess just the question on the table that's listed here.
Mm-hmm.
So it says the numbers in red are missed due to buried manhole condition.
Yeah, that would be the manhole that they couldn't get to.
I see a lot of red numbers, so I guess that's
There must have been multiple ones. When he mentioned to me, he said it was just the one, so maybe there was more than that, or it was over certain studies. But yes, there was one manhole they couldn't get to because it was covered with some asphalt. Basin 1, Basin 1, Basin 2, Basin 2, 1. So it must be two different ones.
Let me see.
What
So-
page are you on, Mark?
I'm on this thing here, right after the picture of the oil thingy.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to hold it up. Can you just ask about that? Like asking?
Yeah.
Because again, I'm reading it as numbers in red are all buried manholes. So I see DMH 51, DMH 29B, DMH 3, DMH 20, and then CTB 31. So I'm assuming it's quite a bit.
29B, 29B. See,
That or the other ones are just impacted by the one that's buried.
yeah,
That's
that
kind
could
of how I
be.
read it, but maybe
Yeah.
good to have clarification.
Yeah, it's a buried manhole condition, so I'm guessing it's just the one and the other ones are affected. But I will ask him about that.
And the as-built versus proposed are, I'm assuming just calculations, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. Shall we go down the list then? Numbers in bold adjusted based on field conditions. So I'm assuming stuff that in an as-built calculation for the flow rate where it goes, where it's higher than the proposed, that's great and all, but, so I do see in the second grouping, CTB 11. So it was proposed at 24.62 and it's down to 14.91. Should we be concerned? And then further down, there's one DMH 19, which was built for 21 or proposed for 2168, and the flow rate's only 4.85. We're gonna be here till 9 o'clock.
We will, no, and I understand that you'd be commenting on this, and that it might be different. It's a condo association. There's a man you can ask. I was like, maybe if we stall long enough, they'll show up.
All right, get here. We got questions.
Yay!
Good evening, Ms. Yang.
Good
Oh my-
evening.
How are you?
How are you?
Good. I was getting used to the Zoom meetings, and I was suddenly realized I have to go.
Well, we're talking about your project right now.
Oh,
So if
great,
you'd like to
thank you.
join us.
Perfect time.
Yes, okay, good. So you have the plan in front of you? Probably?
No, I left it in the office. I apologize.
Oh, okay. It's
I
a
can
long.
get it, but.
It's a long. I was wishing hopefully there's one before me. I don't want to start waiting just for this. So the major not issues or things for the NOI is the infrastructure, stormwater management. Do I need to put my mask on?
Just personal preference for me, that's fine.
Okay. So it's a drainage, and then there's also riverfront mitigation area, which have been monitored for many years. And just before filing, I went back to look at it. It's growing very well, so it's 100% probably covered
Okay.
with the trees and vegetation. So it's nice. So let me see. This is the Willow Road. This is the other branch, the Longview Circle. So it's coming here and getting to this area. So the mitigation area.
It's on the other side.
Yeah, we have to get this view. Take this off.
Do you want me to go grab mine? I mean, it's just down the hall.
It was okay. I just need to. It's just stable. It's just kind of. Should be good now. That's the top circle, and that is another stormwater basin, and the mitigation areas. No, over here. This is the pond. So this is a mitigation area, and this is a mitigation area. So there's a report specifically dedicated for that. And then we also surveyed all the street drainage, so analyzed it, which seems like in compliance with the design. Some of them is like some minor discrepancy, but the capacity is adequate to handle the flow. And the stormwater basin have a slightly more volume than the design, and it's fully vegetated right now, so looks really good. Well, if John probably remember the whole site as Georgia, so it's kind of messy. Right now it's definitely 100% stabilized with the vegetation. The pond looks great, really nice, especially with the foliage.
Now, I wasn't here when this first came through, so was the pond always there?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
The pond was.
It existed, right?
Is existing, and then that's
Okay.
actually if the pond was built in the 1970s. Believe it or not, it was
Okay.
actually had. You see the embankment over here was not natural,
Okay.
and it very possible had some wetlands there, but the whole site was like clay mining. So people harvest the clay to put on landscape as like a seal, like capping.
Mm.
And then, so that's why the site later on, when develop it, it just cannot control the erosion because the silt and the clay was just go through the silt fence.
Mm.
You cannot stop it. You
Yeah.
have to use, like a flocculation. We were trying so
Yeah.
many different agent chemicals, well, which it's arguable. Some people say there's some harm to wildlife, some say don't. But anything, even just regular food, if you eat too much, it's harm to you, to your health. So that's my interpretation. So yeah, so we had to use, and there's many, and over this area is a big steep slope. It's slumping in, that's why you don't see any houses here.
Yeah.
So it used to be have a house and we have to relocate it because it's big steep slope. So that one was also a challenge. So for how to stabilize it, we managed it to stabilize it. That's a fun, when you're thinking about right now. But at the time when you go this, it looks like horrible.
Yeah.
So that pond was there. There's actually even an old flow control structure, but there's a beavers there plugging that existing. I hope the home associations maintain it. Otherwise, the pond is going to be flat. There's an old flow structure over there. So this area we were not sure, but because at the time when we took over trying to mitigate it, it's all grow, including on the top slope, because it's barren. If you look in the historic photo, those areas like a barren, totally devegetated, so it become like a desert. And in the desert, what's the most popular plants? Olive and the fig trees. They do grow, but it's invasive.
Yeah.
Olive, Russian olives.
Yeah.
So it's including this area, but right now it's very naturalized native plants. They're growing very well. So if
So,
I have
Shing, I had a couple questions on this.
yeah, sure.
So at the bottom of it, the table, for the footnotes,
Right.
it says the numbers in red are missed due to buried manhole condition.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's
And
a one.
Heather indicated that there was like one buried manhole, but there's a
One.
lot of red, so I'm assuming there's more.
No, just one. I think there's one. So the red ones was like, as I said, there's some discrepancy in the inwards and change, but the total flow capacity was checked. The major is only one manhole was covered.
Okay, so the footnote doesn't align then with what it's saying,
Right. Yeah.
or at least what the table is in the font color.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I apologize for that. Not just the one. Let me see. Drainage manhole 20. I believe that's
20, the one right in the middle there. That was the one that was
Yeah. I think-
buried.
Yeah, it's already close to here. I think we noted on. Yes.
And when you say buried, is it buried by pavement?
Yeah, just it's
Okay.
probably a couple inches pavement. So
Okay.
they missed it. But all the catch basins are not. They're all good. I think it's this one.
Would it be possible to get this table updated so that the footnote corresponds about the color?
Yeah, sure. I
Okay.
apologize for that. Yeah, we can. I
And-
should.
And then the other question I have, I just don't know enough about it to be sure, but as I'm going down the list, in the second grouping,
Yes.
I think it's CTB 11, all the way to the right,
Yes.
it shows the proposed was 24.62, whereas the as-built is 14.91. So it's pretty substantial decrease. And then even further down at the drainage manhole 19, it was 2168 was proposed, but it's only 4.85. Should we be concerned? I mean, that's like really quite a bit different.
Yeah. So this is a very good question. So sort of each catch basin's capacity is roughly about 2 CFS. The water can get in.
Okay.
Okay. So means the pipe, if it can carry that capacity out, they should be pretty good. So if you look in this 4.85, which is more than double, then the inlet capacity of a catch basin can handle. The original design is, if you see here, is very hilly. So it means the pipe is very steep. So because of the slope steep, so their capacity is much bigger than you need it. So as an example, if you get a chance in the future, if you peek into the catch basins or manholes down in the future, open it up, if you go to relatively flat ground, you will see almost full flow. But if you go into this steep side, you will see the water is almost like at the very bottom. It's because the capacity is so much bigger than you will have the rain coming in.
The capacity of the catch basin?
No, the
The
pipes.
pipes.
Oh,
The pipes, because it's the pipe, when the pipe is steep, the capacity is much bigger.
Right.
But we do design these days, there's a minimum pipe size is 12 inches. If in the old days you will see 6-inch pipe, 8-inch pipe, they say, well, because they are so steep, I don't need to use 12-inch pipe. But then later on, for some practices, people concerning, in case people didn't maintain the catch basin sediment, get into it, clog it up, so they say, minimum 12-inch pipe.
okay.
So then you know the 12-inch pipe, when you on this kind of slopey, really hilly side, they are definitely much more than they will have the water come. So
Okay.
yeah, that's the reason. So
I guess I'm still a little confused. So why would they design it or propose it for 21, CFS, but only accept, 5?
Well, that's so the one when they design, as I explained, because when you have the pipe on a slope, they put a 12-inch pipe as a minimum, putting in there to match the grades. You don't want to flatten out. If you need to flatten the slope to matching what you need, then you will have to set the catch basins or the manholes are really huge in depth.
Real deep,
Because you
yeah.
have to flatten you coming from the lower end of it, like you see here is a discharging point,
Right.
then you will have to cut into the slope. It's really going to be probably 20, 30 feet deep. That's impractical.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah, and also there's a couple of things too. On the hilly side, in general, road drainage is designed per se is 25-year storm, and we checked it with 100-year storm condition. So, but for the pond design, usually they require 100-year storm design standards.
Mhm.
So, like for our case here, like I said, if it's because of the catch basin limitation, if you really have 100-year storm come, the grades just cannot get all the water. If you go to the street during heavy rains, you probably see some water will bypass the catch basin. They cannot before they get into it.
Mhm.
Okay, so, and that's also part of that reason. So it's for two things. One is under like economic consideration. In the old days, it used to be street drainage only designed for 10-year storm because it's economic. So if you
Yeah.
for 100 years, on average, like once you hit by 100 years, and then you design, spend all the money. So that's what like a little bit history. And so, but then more and more right now, there's other little consideration. Like for here, it's not an issue because you're not going to flood the people. So if anything cannot really get into the catch basin, they're going to run on the slope and get into the bottom. They're going to overflow, get into the pond.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so that's another mechanism. Usually when we design, we consider, say, okay, let's look at it as one of, say, if here is not a hill, it's like a depression, then we really will making sure that area will properly drained and
Okay.
not causing flooding. So it's a lot of interesting design considerations and the restrictions by site. So, yeah, we will update. I will just and it's up to the commission if let me try to find out the note was buried.
I don't have any other questions. I'm good.
Yeah,
Thanks.
let's see. I think I noted this one.
Okay, George, any questions? Jen? Heather?
Yeah.
it's a pretty much about 2 or 3 inches paving, so for over that. I did recommend, they say, oh, let the commission request. Let's just submit it. So, it's, I think you guys should ask them to, especially if the town is going to take over the
Yeah, so
road.
if the town decides
Yeah,
to take over
they
the road,
should
it'll
be-
get caught with the DPW.
Yeah, and you should raise it to the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was not happy with that, but
Okay, I think we're happy.
no, I think you guys want to ask, you should ask them to expose, and I will
Yeah.
eliminate.
I'll make that note too.
Yeah,
If you want to just let me know which one it is too, just because that
Yeah,
table
yeah,
has
When it-
multiple ones that are
when-
red. If
Right, no,
I
think-
can let the condo association
just
know
that
when
too.
I ask them about the beaver dam at the pond.
Yeah, okay, no, this is the one, they say pave over drainage manhole number 5. So
Number 5?
Drainage manhole number 5.
Okay, got it.
Oh, yeah, actually.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it-
noted on the plan.
It's the third one on the table and actually said paved over.
Is it really?
Yeah,
It's not red though.
No, it's not red, that's why it's confusing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, it does. Look at that.
Yeah, number 5. So I apologize. The one is, my staff was doing it, he put some red ones for me to check in to make sure, just as you question.
Yeah.
And I reviewed through, I probably didn't read the bottom notes and just said, oh, that's okay, and I make some notes over there. They forgot to correct the colors. Actually, yeah, I will tomorrow, I will should have an updated table, so.
Okay,
Very
great.
good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
All right, is there a motion to issue a certificate of compliance? Willow Road Development, DEP, file number 100-0288.
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Thank
Passes
you.
unanimously.
Thank you, well, it's,
Yeah, I have a question for you, Deshaun.
yes, go ahead.
Were you on Mount Wachusett a couple of weeks ago?
No, I don't.
Okay,
Somebody looked like me?
sounded like you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe my brother, but so he's in China. I didn't know he was listed. Well, this year was like a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, no, I was in Washington D.C.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
So I used to like to do a 4 week, but this year was like a little bit busy.
Yeah.
It's a great foliage with all the rains. Like,
Beautiful, yeah.
even the oak turns into a lovely color.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It used to be like brown, but this year was,
Yeah, I had some pretty good red in my backyard.
yeah, it was more pigment. It's like, I said, well, usually my wife says, oh, the oak color looks ugly. No, this year was not too bad. I say, hey, that's probably the global warming maybe in the future, so it's better than maple. Who knows?
You're going a long way.
Right. And no, she's monitoring because that's why we go to Washington D.C. is because she thinks Washington D.C. is like about 8 to 10 degrees warmer than here. So she wants to consider like see if we can buy like a retirement,
Oh.
townhouse or something like that. And then she comes back and say, I was monitoring all this few weeks after we went. It looks like the temperature is not much higher over there. I say, hey, look at it. Maybe the global warming brings more warm air to Boston than D.C. because they go around it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe.
It's interesting.
Go where the fresh water is.
Hey,
That's going to be the issue.
Yeah.
So that's another big thing. So we get to the Wetland Scientist Association conference. It seems like it's going to discuss all those storm impact on the coast area, and never finish. Investigating. We only have that limited time. Thank you, so.
Thanks for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Yes, bye-bye.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I will make, actually probably I won't do it tonight because we are leaving for Spain tomorrow afternoon. I want to make sure I don't forget it.
Oh, goodness.
All right.
Have a great trip.
Thank you.
All right, Conservation Office updates.
So a couple updates, as far as the work going on Air Solar 2.
Yeah.
I was out, Friday after was it after the rain? I can't remember which Friday it was. So it was the Friday after our last meeting, I went out after the rain. There was water flowing through the culvert, super excited, it was kind of dirty, but they had just redone work in there. Looked at the inlet, everything coming in was clean, which was coming out. So we went out last Wednesday. There was some sediment and everything that was set on the outlet of that culvert, and there was some channeling that had happened at the gate to the entrance of the solar array. I sent those concerns to Rohit, and there was nobody on site working. There was nobody on site the last week working, so I gave him until this past Wednesday to get everything cleaned up, because if I gave him an earlier deadline, it wouldn't have made a difference because there was no one there to work. So when we went back out this past Wednesday, the culvert had been cleaned up. I told him to get in contact with someone from GPR, this is his engineering firm, to figure out what we need to do in that pipe and make sure it meets with the plans, because obviously it needs to be dirt, but when it rains, it washes out. And there is some a groove happening at the outlet that's channeling down. So he's going to be working with GPR to get that whole issue fixed. But water is flowing through straight down the middle like it's supposed to. And thankfully, there's enough rock in the front, and the silt fence and erosion controls and stormwater and hay bales are still there. So anything getting through there is being filtered out. So it's all clean water going into the wetland. And they did hand remove all that and clean it. So the rock's now all clean. The erosion issues that they had at the gate at the beginning of the array, they cleaned those up and fixed that. All of the two replication areas have been planted. The majority, they've continued to bring the road grade up to final grade and work on those items. And they did some seeding 2 weeks ago, but we had all that cold last week, so it didn't take. So they are going to be planting some winter rye to get them through the winter, just to get something stabilized in the stormwater basins and swales they have, and in some of the slopes, just to get what isn't stabilized now or growing now, to get some rye on there to get something to grow through the winter. And they were supposed to get, I think next week when we go out on Wednesday, they either should be paving or have already paved coming in. And they're working on doing the plantings on either side of the property line facing the abutters on Madigan Lane. And I did let Rohit know that they're planting arborvitaes, that he probably should wrap them through the winter, or they're going to be replacing them in the spring, because deer will eat them.
Yeah.
So they're chugging away a little here and there as they're going. It's getting there.
And it was these folks with regards to not the amplified maples or whatever.
Those are the ones with tiny maples. Yep.
Okay. Did they? So they put anything in the tree boxes? Like
they don't have anything in the tree boxes yet. They have 3. Those are, I think, one of the plantings that are going to probably happen next week. I'll double check with Rohit on that, because they still have one they have to put up to final grade. There's one type of tree or 2 different kinds of bushes they can put in there. So he's going to try to locate those, I think, while he was here. He was laying out yesterday, to try to get those in there. And then they're going to, so we'll see if they're out there on Wednesday when I go out next week. But they're working on those. There's still some work to do in the large basin that they have on site. They have some, and I got to ask him next time, maybe I'll shoot him an email, that there is some ledge that needs to be removed in order to get the swale to go all the way in to that big basin, and they haven't done that work yet, so I just got to double check on that. But they have been plugging away at everything, and they were going to try to get some of the wood chips removed and start trying to look at planting around the solar array as well. But they're really focusing on the road and getting the basins done, which is what I've specifically been asking him to do, because that's the solar arrays outside of our jurisdiction. So
It's flat.
yeah, it's flat and sandy, very sandy.
So aren't they supposed to be checking the silt fence like
Yes,
every day before they start working everything?
they should, but I know they don't.
Okay, all right.
Is there a section that you noticed that was off?
I was walking the trail,
Oh, okay.
and I happened to walk by it, and I, again, just
That
seeing
one,
some branches and
yeah,
stuff
that
like
one
that.
on that side I think is more or less for the limit of work, and the work on that eye is done. The wetlands area
It'll come
ends
down
at the big gate of the going into the solar array.
Okay.
Everything I've seen going on, because I don't even think they've replaced that. They've replaced everything that I've asked them to going from the road in, and I haven't even looked on that side because that's outside of our jurisdiction on that end.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I thought they had to do it, I thought they had to walk the perimeter and just kind of.
They're
just kinda
supposed to,
check it and,
it's
you know,
in
get
the order of
branches
conditions
laying
that they're
there,
supposed
kick
to.
'em
I
off.
can guarantee you that
Yeah.
probably 90% of the projects don't, because they don't need to be, right? It's usually more or less every few months, you should walk around it, it's in there, they need to check it every day, but I can tell you they probably don't. But I will make note of that next time I go out, and if it's fallen over, just be like, hey, you might wanna just straighten that up, even if it's just more, snow fencing to mark the limit of work,
Okay.
I'll make sure they do that.
Yeah, no, this looked like it was still silk fence. That's
Yeah,
what
they
tree was
sometimes
on.
they'll do both to mark the
Yeah.
limit of work.
Okay.
Okay. And that's by the trail. I will look at that. Then we all had the MACC conference on the Saturday, that was 2 weeks ago. The trainings that I did was more, this first one was very good, and it made me a little overwhelmed at the same time. It was all on funding for resiliency projects, focusing on MVP grants and items like that. So I'm going to try my best to speak with, I spoke to Alan Minoy because we're working on a pocket forest project in town. A couple of those. Two of the consultants will be coming actually to our next meeting to go over that project with you guys. So the first one of these, so the pocket forest is literally, it's like around 8,000 square feet or less of a densely planted forest, essentially, just micro forest. And it helps with all things of climate change and in all those aspects of carbon capture and
Do you have a site
heating
selected
islands.
already, or what?
Yes, so the first one will be at the depot. The second one they're considering is over at St. Mary's, and then the rest of it they want to get, and which is a project coinciding with the Devons as well. They're working with it as well. They have sites in Devons. The meeting on November 16th, which would be the kickoff meeting for that, which should be in Town Hall on that Wednesday, November 16th, I believe that's 6. Will be more or less to get the public involved, explain to them the project, and get everyone thinking of ideas of where this needs to go. And they're looking at, there's several different factors to look at for these projects, and like I said, the consultants will be here on the 10th to go over that with you all, for you guys to ask questions and do that. So that was, all that's funded through an MVP grant, so that's why I was speaking to Alan about those. I'm going to try to get a hold with Dan Michowik from the DPW and see where we are with those, because there's lots of grants that the town and commission can apply for resiliency projects, to see what else they have on the docket or looking at, and see if we get some sort of, I don't know, subcommittee going to work on the MVP projects in town. And then I went to the erosion and sediment control training last Tuesday, which thank you for that. That was a lot of fun and really interesting. So it focused a lot on different methods of detention basins and infiltration systems and low impact development, which then got me thinking, oh, we need to do these things. So now every time we get a project that they ask me for comments from the planning board, my question is always going to be, what sort of green infrastructure and low impact development are you doing for this? And prove to me that you haven't, that you've looked at it. So I'm doing that. Then I've been looking at, I did a search today for what towns have low impact development as part of their either site plans or bylaws, and there's actually quite a few. Town of Westminster and Winchendon both do.
Mhm.
They've had them for a while. So I'm trying to look in to see how we can bring that into Ayer and make it more of a focus on town. And it's why we were at the planning board meeting. I made the comment to Stratton Hill. One of the low impact development ideas is to make roads lessen the width of a road, because it's less pavement, and everyone likes less pavement because it's less hot and it's less to take care of, and it's less stormwater to worry about. So we're going to try to work with the planning board on that to see if there's a way we can, because I think they have a 40-foot road width now, and see if there's ways that we can try to look at their regulations and see if I can help work with them a little bit and try to figure out how we can lower their and change some of their standards and their subdivision and site plan regulations to include some low impact development.
I told Jeff to just make it one way.
One way in and one way out.
roads, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could.
You don't need as much.
You that's, yeah, good luck with that one. And then, I don't think public safety would like that too much. And then this is all for you guys to look at. So, and this will end up having to be a public hearing, which we'll probably end up doing the first meeting in December. So this is a tree removal policy that I know I mentioned to you guys maybe in passing a couple times, that I drafted. I kind of pleaded on a couple different towns, one that they have. So this will basically go for any trees, dead, dying, healthy, hazardous trees that people want to remove within the jurisdictional buffer zone of jurisdictional area of the Conservation Commission. I'm not 100% sure if it has to go to a public hearing or if it's just a policy that we can just put on the agenda and vote on. It's not really regulation. I'm still not clear on that. Once I get the clarification on that and you guys have reviewed this, then we'll put it on the agenda for whatever vote we need to do. But so it states in there my desire to have any healthy tree that needs to be removed at a 6-inch diameter, which is copies the same as the town of Dedham and I think it's Needham or Canton. Right now the planning board has anything 12 inches needs to be surveyed and noted on the plan. This basically states anything 6 inches or greater if it's removed, and I say is a healthy tree. So that's in. I think I made it noted in here. If it's a hazardous tree, like it's going to fall on something, and it's still a healthy tree, it should be replaced. If it's dead or dying or damaged, then that's a different story. And it impacts on development. So when you're looking at developing something and you have to remove a tree for a house, septic, utility, stormwater, it's a healthy tree. It has to be replaced in a 2-to-1. And then if they don't want to do that, then there's a list that the commission will consider doing a shrubbery at a 4-to-1 ratio. And those are the same that some other towns have, the same ratio. That's where I took these from. So that's the idea. I don't think I wrote it, you could read it. I double check it that if it's a hazardous tree, like it's a dead or dying tree, usually those are like smack dab in the middle of the wetland and it's like just too wet and die, like the one you have. Like, why, if there's no room to replace it, why are we going to do that? My goal on this is to get the ones that are coming down for development, or someone just like, oh, well, it could hit my house. Nothing wrong with it, but it could. And it's like, okay, fine, take it down, but you got to put 2 more to try to keep some of the trees coming into town a little bit more. So that's my idea with that, to try to just slowly implement some new policies. I tried finding one for irrigation. I could not find one. But I'm going to keep searching and do that one next.
There'd be a size, a minimum size. We're not going to replace maple trees this big, right?
No, and that's something like I said, as you guys read through this, if we want to go through, because the other towns didn't have a minimum as far as a tree size for replanting. We can make more notes of that. Same thing with there's a requirement for a snag tree, so to leave the 6 feet for habitat for other animals. When you do cut it down, you do need to leave that's at least 6 feet if possible for that habitat area. And what I've been doing is going out with the homeowner and the tree company, so I can ask questions on how it's getting removed, because sometimes they're just bringing in a crane, sometimes they're dumping it and leaving it because bringing a crane in would cause too much dragging. So it's just nice to have that information, so I have that in here as well.
Yep.
So that way if anybody asks about taking down trees, I have something. Like just read the policy we have.
Very helpful.
Yeah, and so as a policy, though, we can't enforce it, right?
That's what I try to ask in DEP that question, and like I said, so I might get a hold of Denham and who have this and see how it's working with them. If it's something that we need, if we do just throw it into our regulations, and I just put it as a footprint of regulations, I still have time to do that. It would just be at the meeting in December. If the wording in this looks good, and I might have to bring it to town council to review, and then just throw it as a public hearing, and it goes in the regulation.
Because I know we had considered this in the bylaws. I thought we left it in. Now that I think about it, but I don't know. Maybe it's not there.
Yeah, I saw. Well, I found the template of it. I'm like, oh, look, they started doing something.
Yeah. So, no, I think this, that'd be fine to add it as a regulation, and because, like you said, this is all great and all, but if you end up that you can't really enforce it, it's like,
I tried asking the question to the circuit rider. I go, how enforceable is a policy over a regulation? And I didn't really get a clear answer. And I'm trying not to ask town council and get the town charged on that. But if it's something that it's just easier to throw in as a regulation and call it that, then we can always take that route, and it would just be on the agenda in December, and we would hammer out the rest of the wording on this in November.
I think
The
worst
next
case
meeting.
it's going to be educational, even if it's something that maybe we can't 100% enforce. It's still information for people to have. And
Well, but even to the extent that, like you said, even if it goes before, but gets voted down.
yeah, people will still hear it. and-
Yeah.
Yeah, because if it goes to a regulation, it's just a public hearing with the Conservation Commission.
No one will show up anyway. So
Yeah. If it's a bylaw, then it goes to town meeting.
Oh, that's true. That's
So
right.
if we're putting it in our regulations, which our bylaw allows us to create regulations,
Then we just do a public hearing.
we just do a public hearing.
Okay. All right, good.
And we have a tree removal a regulation as opposed to a policy, which I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
And I know how to do that. I just double check with the town manager's office to make sure we don't have to bring it to council for review. And then I would get that on the agenda for the 10th, and if you have any changes to it, we'd hammer those out for next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, and then
Yeah,
like I said,
I
I'm gonna
like
start
the
looking at
list.
what, that list is what I just took from the other two towns. And
No,
I would
I'm
assume that they're
saying
fine.
it's perfect.
I'm like, oh, that's what they have, sounds great. I mean, they're more of a north-south shore, but I'm like, it should be okay. And I'm like, we're not that much colder, wetter, or whatever, so it should be fine.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a suggestion, right? So if they want to go, and it says in the regulation, if the policy, if they want to go off of that, the commission has the final say. So we can always add, change, or they can add different items to it. So it's just more or less making sure we're getting that replanting done.
Isn't the red twig dogwood, or is that basically like alternate leaf dogwood? It's kind of the same thing.
I don't know.
I see silky dogwood, alternate leaved dogwood. I thought red twig dogwood was also like a high, kind of like a high value good one. No?
It could be. Like I said, I can add and change this. I did create a Word document for it, so I can change. I can change it.
Yeah, maybe we can add a couple.
Yeah, if you think of any you want to add to it, I can do that before we bring it to all that. So this is just more or less for you guys to know what I'm looking at doing and how we want to do it. So it sounds like we try to do a regulation, so I can put that on the agenda. I won't make it for the 10th, but we'll do that for the first meeting in December, and we can hammer out any details on this at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, and then we can get that on for December and
Thank
get
you.
that
Yeah, that's
on.
great, thanks.
And then like I said, I want to do one on irrigation systems drawing out of ponds. I Google searched and tried to look for it, and I could not find another town that had anything, but I might send the question out to some of the other agents to see if they have anything on their dockets that they do, so I can try to get some wording for that.
I wonder, Ayer probably has more people that abut ponds than most towns.
Littleton would
I'm
have
making that up.
Littleton and
totally.
Westford would have quite a few.
Would they?
Yeah. Thinking of towns around here, Lunenburg would have quite a bit.
Mhm.
Westminster has, I know, 2 bigger ponds at least. So I mean, I could reach out to them and see if they have anything that they have on their regulations.
Should it be like so did they submit an application, just come in? Like,
So
What should they do?
so it's the last bullet on this, we have those
request for
administrative
Okay, we can
approval
use
forms,
that.
and I would just use that.
Okay.
If it's something that ends up being too much, then that's when we say, okay, you know what, you actually need to come before that. But
Okay.
that's without policy, because typically it's all they've been, right? I mean, I've
Okay.
gone out and looked at a willow tree that half the tree got broken off in a windstorm. It's like, okay, you gotta take it down, leaving the roots yet? Okay, sounds good. Like, flags coming in with the crane, okay.
So it might be, I don't know if you would do it here, but would you put like a parenthetical just to say, available at the Conservation Commission office, after a request for administrative approval?
Yeah.
Say, form.
Forms can be found at the commission's page, which I can add them to the conservation page, or by contacting the office.
Okay. That works. You know what the problem is?
You didn't,
I do that speed reading
you
thing.
didn't
I only read the first sentence and that's
you
it.
didn't finish reading the sentence, that's fine. No, I put that in there, and I'm like, oh, I gotta make sure I add these to the to their website, so I'll make sure I do that, so.
You're on top of it. Excellent.
I try to make it look like I know what I'm doing. It's far and in between, so that's my update. That's what I have.
Awesome.
Anything else?
Okay.
You had asked at the last meeting about North County Land Trust and conservation restrictions.
Yes,
Did you find out
so
anything?
I reached out to them. I did get an email though from the lawyer for, is it Shaker Pond or was it Panther Place? I cannot remember now, about their conservation restriction. They were asking about the state, and it's in their list of ones to review. And Rohit mentioned that his, for Air Solar 2, is going to their wetland, I don't know if it's Oxbow, I think it's Oxbow, to get the baseline document done, so we can get that CR on the record as well. So I have 2 more that are going to be on there. I'll reach out again to North County Land Trust and see where they are on it, because I did give them some of the documents that we did have that they suggested, that they asked for, and that was 2 or 3 weeks ago. I want to see if they have any, if they need anything else from me or where they are on those. I'll reach out to them again.
And also the Riley Jane Road, the replication.
Yeah, I saw CJ, because it ends up being Morse. It's not Seal Harbor, and I only know that because I was going through files, and I'm like, oh, I found it on the plan. I go, oh, there it is. That's what you were just talking about. I found it. So I did mention it to him in passing, but because he was there for his bond release, because they're holding some money for finishing up some stuff. So I mentioned it to him, and I'll reach out to him again about looking into that replication and make sure that gets completed.
Okay. Anything else?
I was just going to mention, again, we went to the MACC. I did 2 stormwater sessions. So one of the nice things was in the first session, they said that they're going through a whole bunch of new regulations at the state level. And if you remember when we did the job with DOT up at 2A and stuff like that. So you remember how they kind of were like, well, this is what we're doing. If you like it, too bad. If you don't, so what? This one. So the lady that was presenting indicated that the DOT will be held to much higher standards in the future. So that was a good thing to hear. So I was pretty happy about that.
That's nice.
And then I the second session was, it talked all about like performance curves for all the different types of like stormwater control measures and stuff like that. And so I got to learn a little bit more, and so I can ask some really good questions. Hopefully, I got to put them in practice and make sure I don't say the wrong thing. But yeah, so it was pretty cool, and a lot of different things that I was totally not aware of, so that's why I took those. So yeah, I thought it was pretty decent session.
Yeah.
It was nice that it was nice and close by too, so it didn't blow the whole day. We were home at like 3:10.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was good.
I took one on how to run a meeting, get home before midnight. So obviously that paid off very nicely.
You did great.
Yeah.
Anything else? No?
Yeah, and just so you know, the next meeting, we'll have the 1 or 2 consultants to discuss the Pocket Forest project that's going on in town with Devon's, and there may be, I gotta double check with them next week, a resident that has some concerns about some of the treatment that we're doing in the ponds and wants to do a more natural and non-chemical treatments, and come to the commission to speak about that. I have to just double check with them to see if they are indeed coming. Other than that, we don't really have much in town right now, besides just following up on projects. The 2 houses on Washington Street that's part of the Panther Place project, they're going to be requesting certificate of compliance for their projects. For those 2 houses, Joe Levine, the general contractor, came in, mentioned that to me. I told him, well, I haven't walked your site yet, So it'd be really nice if I could do that too. So when he submits those, we'll make a plan to go out and he's gonna walk me through the full subdivision as well. So I'm gonna take a chance to take a look at that too.
Would it be more like a Saturday sidewalk for all of us?
No, I think it's just more or less to give me, and I think it's because he said they're paving, they're doing something out on site that in the next week or so, so he wants me to see it after the fact. So I think it's paving, the road going in. Because I think you guys have already walked. Have you guys walked it all before it started? Yeah, I've never been out there. I just saw it all on paper. So
Yeah,
I know
we
it's.
go to the tennis court and let the dog run around inside the tennis court, so I see it on occasion.
Yeah, I say I drive
Pretty
by
built
it.
out,
I
right?
drive by it, and it's. I know the wetlands are going in those two first new houses, which is why they're doing the certificate compliance on those, and everything else is on the other side. So
Yeah.
they haven't started the construction of those houses yet. I have a list of all the ones that have orders on them on a piece of paper in my office. So when they do come looking for them, I know which ones, which addresses have them.
Okay. Oh, actually, I forgot to mention too. So, just before the meeting, I sent emails to Kristen from Lydell asking, "Hey, if we wanted to reprint signs, how much would they be?" So we'll find out about that. And then I also asked the design person, "Hey, if we need to change the QR code and add a URL, a link below that code, what would be the charge to do that?" So when Heather and I was in here the other day or whatever, when Heather and I looked at it, I think the signs are only like $20 a piece. They're pretty darn cheap, or maybe they're 40. So I figured for as much as we
I think it was
spent,
$290 to get all the signs together, and
Yeah, I
there's
think it was
over
11
and
signs,
there's
right?
and there's over $1,000 in the account still.
Yeah, so I figured, I don't know where Cindy. I don't know if you know if Cindy.
I
gave you an
haven't.
update on that, but-
Yeah. Oh, I keep forgetting that.
Yeah, so if need be, we can maybe just do that, so maybe it's $200-ish or, maybe $250 for the signs, and then, probably like another $100 for the design time or whatever, so $300 or $400 we can get brand new signs, we'll just go out and swap them.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah.
That's the easy part.
Yeah.
So,
No, because I sat with Carrie and looked at that, and not that we have anything, because I just started, but I thought I'd mention it, since you mentioned something, think of it again. The capital projects submission is due tomorrow. I don't think the Conservation Commission typically has any capital projects. It's anything over 10,000, which I'm like, I don't think I have anything that we need to do over $10,000 for next budget year. So I thought just I'd mention it just to make sure. No, I did say something to Chief Johnson, like, oh, I would like a canoe so I could go out and look. And he said, oh, no, we have some inflatable ones at the DPW. He's like, you can use them. I go, well, that's good to know.
yeah.
So, like, now when we had these algae blooms, I could actually go out and, like, look at, whatever invasives are growing out there, too.
Just
So,
such a microscope.
yeah, so I was like, oh, well, I don't have to worry about it for, this. If I wanted to eventually get a real one, I could do, but that would be next fiscal. That would even be $10,000, so I wouldn't have to
That's
worry
fine.
about it.
How
But,
about a drone?
What?
A drone.
Yeah, right.
Well, that would carry a person. No?
I'm sure the fire department or the police department would probably be first to get one of those more than the Conservation Commission.
All right. All right.
Especially if it's going to carry a person.
All right then.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Passes unanimously.
Yeah.